Hello, my beautiful Leos. Hello, hello. Welcome in, welcome back. I am Lisa, and this is North Star Energy Healing, and we are doing your overview reading for the month of October. I will be back mid-month for another check-in and reading to see what's changed, because based on every choice and decision we make, things change, right? I'm going to be using the lovely Halloween Oracle. I use this in October only, typically, because that is the month of Halloween. So I'm going to be using that deck, excuse me. Don't forget, this is a collective reading, not a one-to-one, so please take what resonates and leave the rest. And please, please give the video a like. It really helps it to go around YouTube. They have algorithms based on likes, views, comments, shares, etc. So all I really ask is for you to just give the video a thumbs up. Okay. In the month of October, we have a full harvest moon in Aries on the 7th. This is going to be a super moon, big and bright and beautiful. Lots of energy, and Aries being one of your sister signs, fiery, passionate. For a few days, for this, at least the 6th, 7th, and 8th, you're probably going to feel a surge of getting something done. You're going to feel like you need to complete something or maybe start something, a business, a website, a project. So you're probably going to have that very fiery, passionate energy along those dates. Then we have on the 21st, a new hunter's moon in Libra. Hunting season is coming right up. I think that's why they call it that. Hunters getting ready for the winter and the colder weather. Libra is a more balanced sign, and that's what we're in for most of October. On the 23rd, we usher in Scorpio season with the dark and the mysterious, right? So that is also leading up to Halloween, Samhain, All Hallows Eve on the 31st, where the veil is thin, and then into the Day of the Dead, November 1st and 2nd. So that is what we have for moons and energies coming in for October. All right, so the Halloween deck gave you 2 cards. A few signs have gotten 2. Most signs have gotten 1. So your first card is the Skull of Darkness, blind spots. And this card is all about things that you don't see, right? Things that someone may tell you. Someone may say, you really sound kind of arrogant when you talk like that. You should kind of tone it down a bit. And being a Leo, you don't like that. You don't like to be told what to do, how to act, what to say. You want everybody to perceive you as that majestic lion, right? So although sometimes we can't see an issue clearly, it is the repeated patterns of pain that may alert us to them. Symptoms, if you will. For example, the same things keep happening over and over again, right? Different day, same crap, sometimes people say. We may be betrayed repeatedly. We may fail at something repeatedly. We may get sick with a cold repeatedly. Something that happens over and over, right? Maybe we don't get things completed. And so our blind spots are, sometimes we ignore that, right? But we need to change something. We need to break the pattern, right? We need to do the work to uncover, why does this keep happening? We need to ask ourselves, ask our guides, why does this happen to me over and over and over again? Find those answers, right? Ask your closest trusted friends, allies, coworkers, somebody that you trust and know to tell you, why do you think this keeps happening to me? And only by showing that vulnerability can we grow and learn from it and maybe break those patterns, Leo, okay? And then you have skeleton. You have skull and skeleton, right? I'm not a big fan of skulls. I know some people just love them. The crystal skulls, maybe, but I'm just not a big skull lover. But skeleton is strength, right? Because our bones are what holds us up. If we didn't have any bones, we'd just be a pile of meat, lying on the ground. So skeleton, strength. So you need to dare to show strength and vulnerability. Oh, Good. Okay. So that's what we were just talking about as far as your blind spots. Show what you really feel. If it's shame, pride, or grudges or embarrassment, those are hefty burdens, right? And when we keep them in, we are hurting ourselves, right? So who can you talk to about that, right? You need to show your true self, right? And just like I was saying with the other card, be vulnerable about it, right? Ask for help, right? Or advice from a trusted friend or coworker, colleague, family member, whoever it is. Show your true self, right? Don't be the person who hides behind, I can do everything. Nothing is too hard for me. I've got it handled. When inside you may be saying, okay, how am I going to do this? But you don't want people to know that you don't know how to do it. Wow, that's really a different message. I don't think you guys have ever had a message like that, because Leo is a very confident, brave, courageous sign. But we're all human, right? No matter what sign we're born under, we are human, right? The wheel turning. The wheel can't turn if we're stuck in non-truth, let's say. Thank you, Spirit. So in order for the wheel to turn and for things to change, you have to be willing to be honest, truthful, vulnerable at times. Wow, the wheel and the tower coming out. Interesting. Then you have the Page of Crystals, which is the Page of Pentacles, which is something, oh my gosh, this is so, my guides are so fantastic. So with the Page of Crystals or Pentacles, that can be something that you maybe have practiced over and over, but haven't actually put it into play. And sometimes that page feels vulnerable. That page feels vulnerable because he or she doesn't exactly know what they're getting into or what they're doing. It's like you can practice a speech 100 times, but getting up in front of 500 people and saying the speech is not the same. Okay, thank you, Spirit, for that analogy. So here's your first card, 10, the wheel. 10s are completing a cycle, and they reduce to a 1, which is the beginning of a brand new cycle. Change and possibility, right? And only, like I said, by being your true self, by showing vulnerability, can things change in this situation for this reading for you in October, okay? Tower, 16, which is a 7, which is reflection, release and revelation. Wow. Can't say it better than that, right? You need to release the need for everybody to think that you are perfect, that you can do it all, that you can be it all. You need to release that so that you can transition, right? The tower is the breaking down of something so things can change. Wheel, tower. Wow. Then you have the Page of Crystals, which we briefly talked about. Ideas and discipline. That's a fox. Beautiful card, right? So you have ideas, but you need to get them in order, and you need to be disciplined about when you activate that or when you do it. You need to make sure that you know what you're doing. And in this case, it could mean that you need to be vulnerable enough to ask for advice or help or training, right? I love that. 7 of Crystals, 7 of Pentacles. This is, you have options, but to get results, you have to put it into play. I love that this comes after those cards, right? You have options, but you need something else to get going with it, right? In the other deck, it shows a tree with a bunch of pentacles and a woman with a basket, like trying to decide, what do I do and how do I do it? So this all ties together beautifully with whatever it is that you're going to do. You need to move forward. You need to be vulnerable. You need to stand in your truth. You need to be who you are. You need to admit when you don't have every answer, right? So the wheel can move forward. The tower, releasing the need to be everything, right? The Page of Crystals, something you've practiced. You're not quite ready to put it into play yet, but part of you is like, oh yeah, I can do this. And then you go and do it, and it turns out it doesn't work, right? So, and then with the 7 of Pentacles, choosing, right? Choosing, how do I move forward with this idea? And then you have the 2 of Cups. This is partnership. Look, it shows like two doves. Isn't that beautiful? Well, it could be two of any bird, but I'll say dove. That's union and harmony. Union and harmony. Now, this can be union and harmony with your head and your heart, with your own soul, your intuition, your gut. That's kind of what Spirit is giving me now. Not kind of, that is what they're saying. They're saying when you try to present a persona to the outside because you're afraid of being judged or people not thinking as much of you, people not, I don't want to say worshiping, but just people thinking of you as the strong person who can do everything. Sometimes Leos are afraid of not being that, right? So you need to let go of that, right? And be vulnerable, be true. This is like the biggest message they're giving me. Then you have another page, Page of Feathers, which is Page of Swords. Exploration and discovery. Yeah. What might you discover if you were to drop that persona of I can be all and do all? What might you discover about yourself, about your friends? Who might you be able to collaborate with if you didn't try to be everything? If you didn't try to, make everyone think that you can do it all, right? How would that look? How would that look? Yeah, okay. So remember the blind spots, what you don't see pretty much about yourself, right? And then the skeleton, having the strength of a skeleton, but the vulnerability of a human being, right? Of our human persona, of our personalities. The wheel, turning, change and possibility. The tower, release and revelation, sorry. And then that Page of Crystals, right? Practicing something but not quite ready to put it into play. The Seven of Crystals, choosing how you're going to go forward with your idea. The Two of Shells, having that partnership between your head and your heart and knowing what the right thing is to do. The Page of Feathers, Page of Swords, exploring and discovering how things would look if you took a moment to see what you really know and how much you know, who you need to ask, and how you can go forward with that. Wow, Leos, interesting. Okay, you have as your animal oracle 2, this is eagle. 2 is choice, right? This is your second 2 because you have the 2 of shells / cups. Now you have this eagle. Soar high, lead with clarity and vision. That is a beautiful way to end this October message because you can't lead with clarity if you're pretending that you already know how to do something. Okay, Leos? Well, I really hope that this has helped. I hope that Spirit has given you some things to think about as far as how you move forward in your work, in your website, in your business, in your relationships, coworkers, partnerships, all of that. I hope that this is given you reason to take pause before moving ahead with something or to allow yourself to be vulnerable this month of October. Okay. Until I come back with mid-October, peace and kindness every single day. I love you all.